Philip Hammond. UN resolution will be a major step forward. Speaking after the meeting, Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond said, "We've had a long discussion about the situation in Iraq, and conclusions of the Council today will show the commitment of European countries to pushing back against the threat from ISIS. A threat to civilization, a threat to the region, and a threat to us here in Europe." What a prick Philip Hammond is. No wonder they rotate these Muppets in jobs like Foreign Secretary every few years. Who would want to be in the spotlight spewing nonsense and having to defend it day after day? Listen again to what he says in this article. Show the commitment of European countries to pushing back against the threat from ISIS, a threat to civilization, a threat to the region, and a threat to us here in Europe. The situation that is currently unfolding in Iraq started in 2003 with the invasion of Iraq. So Tony Blair and George Bush are 100% to blame for what is happening there today. Pure and simple. Blair can blame what is happening now on not intervening, officially, in Syria, and that it has nothing to do with the 2003 invasion of Iraq, all he likes. But the fact of the matter is, the current situation is only happening because of Bush and Blair having invaded Iraq in 2003. If, as Puppet Hammond says, ISIS is a threat to civilization, then Bush and Blair should be arrested for war crimes now, for causing this threat to civilization. Either that, or Bush and Blair should be the first people on the ground in Iraq to sort out this fucking mess, the very mess that they created, and if they get shot and killed in the process, well, street parties all round, I guess. Can you believe that Blair is still the peace envoy for that region? Unbelievable. The very man that caused over 1.5 million innocent deaths is now charged with delivering peace. What a sick joke. The situation is like this. Because we didn't vote to bomb Assad in Syria, the West decided to fund and arm the rebels in Syria below the radar. The rebels being ISIS. Had the government have won that vote, then the UK and America would have been supporting ISIS. We would have been fighting alongside ISIS. We would have been ISIS's, if there is such a word, say it again, Air Force. How fucked up has this situation become? So, are ISIS, IS, whatever their name is today, really a threat to civilization? Do they have nuclear weapons? Well, personally, I think the situation between Ukraine and Russia is a greater threat to civilization because Russia do have nuclear weapons. And if NATO can entice Russia to attack Ukraine, then the button will be pressed and we literally all will be dead. We could put ISIS down relatively easy if, and it's a massive fucking great big if the will is there to do so. All we'd have to do is 1. Stop funding them, 2. Stop training them, and most importantly, 3. Stop fucking arming them. Almost every weapon they use has a supplied by the West sticker on it. Actually, I'm not sure if they put stickers on their weapons, but you take my point. But there isn't a will to stop arming, funding and training them, because they're causing chaos. And as we know, chaos does several things, namely increase weapons sales for corporations. After all, they have to drop the bombs they've made somewhere. And by saying that it's a threat to civilization, governments will be able to increase fear at home and clamp down on our so-called freedom. Not that there's much left nowadays. And also to increase our police state domestically. How many times have we heard that ISIS will come back and attack the UK? And despite all the surveillance that we're under, and all the surveillance we need to be under, that the government tells us will make us safe, the government actually admit that they won't be able to track anybody who comes back to attack us, because it's all security theatre. You see, Benghazi was about giving ISIS weapons, and Ambassador Chris Stevens didn't want ISIS getting hold of these weapons, including thousands of Stinger missiles that are capable of shooting down aircraft. And when the firefight started in Benghazi, Obama didn't send in any help because he and his man-wife wanted ISIS to have these weapons. Far from ISIS being a threat to civilization, it's the likes of Obama and Cameron that are so much more a threat to civilization than ISIS could ever be. Look at the way Cameron went off on one about Putin shooting down MH17, when it turns out it looks almost certainly that the Ukraine fighter jets shot down MH17. Cameron and his rhetoric just after the plane was down was an absolute fucking disgrace. Shouting, blaming Putin, comparing his actions to those of Hitler's, calling for extreme tough sanctions by Europe, calling for France not to sell warships to Russia. Nick Clegg and Ed Miliband, who, by the way, are the most weak couple of leaders our country has ever had, in my humble opinion, could have taken Cameron out politically if they wanted to because of Cameron's rhetoric about MH17, but they haven't got the will as they all bat for the same side. I agree that ISIS have to be stopped, but at least at the moment they don't have nuclear weapons like Cameron and Obama, who also have to be stopped. But what with the nuclear missiles being taken from Dyer's Air Force Base a few months ago, who knows what Obama's going to do with them? And more importantly, who he is going to blame when a nuke goes off in America. Maybe he will allow ISIS to blow up an American city with one. Just imagine how they could clamp down domestically in America and the UK if a nuke went off somewhere. The globalists would have so much to gain by doing that. Hammond also said that ISIS is a great threat to Europe and at the beginning of the war on terror. If there really was a war on terror and if ISIS really did pose a threat to us in Europe, our borders would be sealed closed, not wide fucking open for anyone to allow anyone from the EU to come and go and say, please. We have security theatre. We had Blair's government who caused the problem in the Middle East in the first place, and now we have Cameron's government who are continuing to ensure that chaos continues in the Middle East region. You must realise that the West don't want order, they don't want stability, they don't want harmony, they want death. They want murder. In fact, they love murder. Remember Obama bragging that he was really good at killing people? What a disgusting piece of shit that man is. Unbelievable. They love chaos. Remember, people, there just is no profit in peace. We need to remove these scumbags. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we must remove them. They are fucking dangerous.